Lesson 8. Printing a worksheet. After creating and editing the worksheet, we require printing to see the output. It is always better to preview it before printing it. In order to make the worksheet more presentable, Excel provides various features to adjust margins, column, width, change orientation, create header and footer, etc. Working with print preview. We can display the print preview in the following ways: by choosing File, then Print Preview, by selecting Print Preview button from the standard toolbar, by clicking Print Preview button in the Page Setup or Print dialog boxes, using Print Preview toolbar. Next, to move to next page, Previous, to move to previous page, Zoom, to magnify the view. Clicking again will reduce the size of worksheet. Print, to print worksheet. Setup, to launch page setup dialog box. Margins, to toggle margin markers on or off. Drag any margin to reposition it. Page break preview. Switches to page break preview, in which you can adjust the page break print area on the worksheet. The name of the button changes to normal view. Close, to close the print preview. Changing page setup option. In page setup feature in Excel, we can specify many elements like paper size, margins, grid lines, page orientation, etc. Click on File, then Page Setup. Page Setup dialog box will appear. Setting margins. Margin means the amount of blank spaces that is left from the edges of paper where the text actually begins. In Page Setup dialog box, click on Margins tab. The left and right margins are set at 0.75 inch and the top and bottom margins are set at 1 inch by default. In order to increase or decrease the margin, click on up or down arrow. Setting page orientation. The page orientation can be set to portrait and landscape. The data is printed across the width of a paper with portrait orientation. In portrait orientation, the default paper size is 8.5 by 11 inch. The data are printed across the length of page with landscape orientation. Click on Page tab, click on Landscape option button in Orientation section. By clicking Paper Size list box, select the paper size of your choice. Setting header and footer. You can add the text that will be printed at the top or bottom of every page by using header or footer. Header is a line of text that appears above the top margin of every page. Footer is a line of text that appears below the bottom margin of every page. Click on Header/Footer tab in Page Setup dialog box. Click the drop-down arrow under Header section. Select Page 1 from the drop-down list. Click the drop-down arrow under Footer section. Choose Page 1 from the drop-down list. The header and footer text will appear on each printed page. Click on Print Preview button to view the effect of header and footer. Click on Custom Header or Custom Footer to enter additional text for the header or footer. Enter the text in the left section, center section or right section box. Click OK. Press Tab key in order to move from one section to another. Setting other printing options. By clicking the Sheet tab in Page Setup dialog box, you can set other printing options. With the help of this tab, you can print grid lines, the row and column headings, specify page order, etc. Follow these steps. In Page Setup dialog box, click on Sheet tab. Now get the range of cells selected that has to be printed in Print Area text box. If you want to print column headings, that is A, B, C, etc. or row headings, that is 1, 2, 3 on the worksheet, click on Row and Column Headings checkbox. If you want to print grid lines on the worksheet, click on Grid Lines checkbox. If you want to print any comment along with the attached cells or at the end of sheet, click on Comments List box. Printing a workbook. It is not necessary to print the entire workbook. You can print some part of a worksheet or single worksheet. In order to print a document, follow these steps. Choose File, then Print. The Print dialog box will appear. All option button is selected by default. That means all the pages in a workbook will be printed. To print specified pages, click on Page option button and mention the page number in From and To text boxes. Under Print What section, you get 3 choices. Selection. First, select the cells and click on Print option in order to print selected range of cells. Active Sheet. In order to print the current worksheet, click on this option. Entire workbook. In order to print the entire workbook, click on this option. Now, under Copies section, specify number of copies to be printed and then click OK. Points for review. Before sending the worksheet to print, you should preview it. There are 2 types of page orientation, landscape and portrait. Header is a line of text that appears above the top margin of every page. Footer is a line of text that appears below the bottom margin of every page. Zoom button in Print Preview magnifies the view of worksheet. You can print a part of worksheet, single worksheet or an entire workbook.